Now when it comes to the violet, our mix is red plus blue. And we're not going to use a complement to tone it because the original mix of the violet is very, very dark. It's very difficult to get it from here to here by adding yellow. That's normally the way you do it. This particular warm red and blue, it is really difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint the original hue down here. We're going to add a little bit of white to get the hue. Then we're going to add more white to get the tint. Notice I'm pulling the blue little by little into this red so I can make sure I get to violet and then I don't overshoot to blue violet, because you don't want to waste paint, and if I dump everything in and it's wrong, then I have to dump more paint in. Then I end up with a whole pile of paint and I'm only painting 3 squares, and then that means we have wasted paint. And paint's expensive, especially this paint. That's pretty good. We're going with that. See how dark it is? It's just so dark. So now we're going to add a little bit of white right into the side here. And then we're going to add a little more white. When you get to the whites, make sure they're not streaky. Make sure they're evenly distributed. These two right here are so close. I think I'm going to repaint this one just so I have a little more of a step. So I'm going to go back in here to my original mix. See if I can get just a tiny bit darker, but still lighter than the original. All right, because we don't ever want to waste paint, and we did the violet on the other side, I'm going to start with red violet up here. Normally when you tone a red violet, you're going to use a yellow green, but we're going to go ahead and put the hue down here at the end because it's so dark. My paint's getting a little bit tacky, so I just put a little dab of water. I just touch the very tip of my brush in my water, and it's loosening the paint a little bit. So if your paint starts to feel tacky, like sticky, just touch your brush in the water. All right, for blue violet, we're going to want more blue, then red. We're not going to tone because it's going to be so dark. We're going to add a little bit of white to get our hue and more white to get our tint. Violet made with warm red and warm blue. So see, we barely needed the red. So I'll save that red for when I do my oranges. Okay, so we're going to do yellow orange next. There's yellow orange, that's the one we're gonna do. And because I just did blue violet, yellow orange, to tone yellow orange, you need blue violet. So I took my red off my plate, I put it onto here so I didn't waste it. I added some yellow, I took the white from the plate, I added it to the new plate for the yellow orange, not wasting paint. And I'm gonna use this mix of this blue violet to create the tone since I already have it mixed up. So a little planning goes a long way. More yellow, less red, so I'm gonna come down here. Not dumping my red into this, but coming down here outside the original paint. Now let's add some white. We still need this original mix for our tone also, so we don't want to dump this in and mix all of this around. We're going to come out here to the side. we're going to put some white, just with whatever is in our brush. So I didn't rinse the brush. Whatever was in there from when I painted that middle square. Just going to add some white to it out here. I'm saving that because I still have to do my tone. I'm going to do our tone. And remember, for yellow, you do not need a lot of complement to tone before it gets really dirty and ugly. So I'm just going to pull a tiny little bit of this blue violet that we just mixed. Just going to take on the corner of my brush right here. That's all I need. And what will also happen with this is it'll start to look a little greenish if you get too much blue violet. And we just want like one step darker of the yellow, but you really want to do, and when I say just a little bit, as you can see, just a little bit, like almost you can barely see it. A little more yellow into here. Let's try to push it back a little bit. Let's grab a little tiny bit of that red. There we go. So sometimes you have to like dab a little bit of that original color. Now my issue here is I don't have enough paint to paint my square. So I'm going to put another bunch of yellow and a little bit of red just to get myself a little more paint. See how we're one step darker? And it's not the prettiest color in the world. But if you were painting a neutral, a really nice deep yellowy orange neutral, this is how you would do it.